Do you agree with Stephanie White?
Listen, I don't watch the WNBA extensively enough to say whether I agree or disagree. But I've often used the line, Shay, that I'll share with you because I don't know if I've ever used it while you've been on the air with me. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose. I've said that many, many times over the years. There is a flagrant level of resentment that exists when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And it has existed since she has arrived in the league. She is the cash cow.
One whistle, one collision, one replay, and within minutes, the entire basketball world had stopped talking about the final score. Instead, everyone was asking one question. Asterisk, what really happened to Caitlin Clark? Ask. Nobody expected a routine regular season game to produce one of the most talked about moments of the week. Not the fans inside the arena, not the broadcasters calling the action, and certainly not the millions of people who would spend hours replaying the same clip from every possible angle. But that's exactly what unfolded. The final buzzer sounded. Players headed toward the locker room. Yet the biggest story of the night was only beginning. Within minutes, social media erupted. The replay flooded every corner of the internet. Basketball pages, sports shows, YouTube channels, podcasts, and national television all focused on the exact same sequence. It was impossible to escape. But what made the moment even more remarkable was the complete disagreement over what people were seeing. Some fans insisted it was nothing more than a physical basketball play. Others watched the very same footage and argued it crossed the line. The debate spread like wildfire, with every replay creating even more questions than answers. People weren't watching the clip just once. They replayed it over and over, slowed it down frame by frame, compared different camera angles, and analyzed every movement. Thousands of comments poured in from fans convinced they'd uncovered the truth. Yet the more the footage circulated, the more divided the basketball world became. Then the story grew even bigger. The conversation quickly expanded beyond the WNBA. National sports networks picked it up. Basketball analysts offered conflicting opinions. Former players weighed in with their own interpretations. Every new voice added another layer to an already heated debate. What had started as one controversial sequence was suddenly dominating basketball headlines across the country. Then came another major turning point. Stephen A. Pollack. Smith addressed the controversy on First Take, bringing even more national attention to a story that was already impossible to ignore.
Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas receives flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension. I want to know your thoughts. Is 1 game enough? 2 games, 3 games? I'm seeing some say 5 games. I'm seeing some people say 10 games Alyssa Thomas should have been suspended for. I want to know what you think in the comment section below. Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas receives flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension. June 25th, 2026. Upon post-game review, the Phoenix Mercury's Alyssa Thomas has received a flagrant foul 2 penalty and a 1-game suspension for recklessly making contact with her fist to the throat area of Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark. It was announced today by the WNBA. The incident, for which Thomas was deemed to have committed a non-basketball act, occurred with 6 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the second quarter of the Mercury's 111-109 win over the Fever last night at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Per WNBA rule, the league office has the option following its review of any game to reclassify a flagrant foul or to classify as flagrant any foul not called as such during a game and may impose a fine and or suspension. Alyssa Thomas will serve her suspension on June 27th when the Mercury visit the Toronto Temple. Now I have a question, because this is similar to what happened with Kennedy Carter. This is also similar with what happened with Dejanay Carrington. I have a question to the WNBA shills out there. Do any of you guys have the stones? Shout out to Rudy. Any of you guys have the guts, the ball?
The moment one of the biggest personalities in sports television joined the conversation, the story reached an entirely new level. It was no longer just Indiana Fever fans debating the play. Basketball fans across the country wanted answers. Was it simply a hard, physical basketball play? Did the officials manage the situation correctly? Or had this become part of a much larger discussion about physicality, consistency, and player safety in today's WNBA? Those questions continue to divide fans, which is exactly why the story refuses to fade away. Every replay sparks a new opinion, every opinion fuels another debate, And every debate brings even more people into the conversation. One whistle, one collision, one decision, and suddenly an entire league found itself at the center of one of the season's biggest talking points. So, what actually happened during that sequence? Why has one play generated such dramatically different reactions from fans, analysts, and former players? And why are people still breaking it down long after the final buzzer? To answer those questions, let's slow everything down and examine the sequence from beginning to end. As the game entered its most competitive stretch, the intensity rose with every possession. Every rebound became a battle, every defensive stop carried extra emotion, and neither team was willing to give away easy opportunities. The physical nature of the game continued to build until the moment everyone is still talking about finally arrived. During a fast-moving possession, Caitlin Clark became involved in a collision that immediately caught the attention of the crowd and viewers watching at home. At first, it appeared to be another tough basketball play, but as the replay circulated from multiple angles, opinions quickly split. Some believed the contact was simply part of high-level competition, while others argued it crossed the line. Within minutes, social media erupted, sports shows began breaking down the footage. Former players shared their perspectives, and what started as one controversial sequence transformed into one of the biggest basketball debates of the week.
Star power and her cachet, and as a result, if they have an opportunity to go at her, they're going to take it. Now, Caitlin Clark is no innocent bystander in all of this. She's a high-end competitor. She can be very feisty. We saw from her college days where she can chirp and talk junk at you, which is why Angel Reese went at her when they ultimately beat her for the national championship, because she was chirping right back at her and trolling her. That's where the real fame of Angel Reese rose. We saw all of this. In the end, there are people that undoubtedly respect her, and you have an appreciation for what she's brought to the game in terms of notoriety and what have you. And I'll be the first to say that the Janae Ogwumike's, the Andrea Carters, and all of them, Monica McNutts, are far more qualified than me to speak on the issue because they see more of it than I do. But with what I've seen, you are able to say 1 + 1 = 2. And there's been a level of resentment that has existed where I believe there's been a failure on the part of some people to appreciate the mantra of a rising tide lifts all boats. Ride this cash cow till the wheels come off. They did it in the NBA with Magic Johnson. They did it ultimately with Michael Jordan. You know, that's how you do this. You find somebody that just galvanizes folks and ingratiates themselves with the public at large in such a way where everywhere they go and whatever they do, everybody wants to watch. You don't resent that. You feed off of it to build your own. And I think that WNBA as a whole, that women's basketball as a whole, and some, not most, not all, but some WNBA players need to appreciate that and gravitate to that and grab hold of that and ride that wave to your own ascension, as opposed to resenting it and showcasing it the second you get an opportunity to, whenever Caitlin Clark is in your vicinity. That would be my advice. That's all I could say about that.
I didn't love that this happened not once but twice yesterday, where there was basically a no call. I thought Stephanie White did the right thing. She should have gone off. She needs to protect her superstar.
She did.
That's her right. Completely.
Absolutely.
I also do think the league should probably review this. I don't have information on if they have started that process or not, but I think that maybe would be a good call, considering some of the images that have come out from this. I'm not calling anyone a dirty player, but it did feel a little bit like a cheap shot. So I agree with Stephanie.
Well, the NBA, if the NBA is going to review calls, you're saying the WNBA can review calls and act retroactively and make sure that you hand down appropriate punishment.
Inside the arena, reactions were immediate. Online, they multiplied within minutes as clips of the play spread across social media at an incredible pace. Basketball creators posted slow-motion breakdowns, fans paused the replay frame by frame, and new camera angles continued to surface, with each one seemingly creating an entirely new debate. Some believed the officials made the correct decision in real time, while others argued the replay raised legitimate questions that deserved closer examination. That's exactly why the moment grew far beyond a single possession. Once millions of basketball fans began analyzing the same play from different perspectives, the conversation naturally expanded beyond the game itself. The more people watched, the more questions they asked. The more questions they asked, the larger the debate became. By the end of the night, it was clear this wasn't simply another viral highlight. It had become one of the defining basketball conversations of the season. with fans, analysts, and former players all offering different interpretations of the same unforgettable sequence.